Okay, so this video is just to give you a bare bones basic tour of Rationale Online and how the initial steps that you should do every time you start a map and that you should check every time you log in to make sure that your workspace is set up right. And then I'll give you a brief tour on kind of the basic operations, dragging boxes around, building maps, attaching boxes to one another, things like that. And then in subsequent videos, you'll learn more details about how to build maps for particular purposes, because there's going to be slightly different things you're going to want to look out for, think about when you're building your essay map versus the dumb listicle map. Okay, so the first thing is, this is kind of a reminder slide from an early orientation slide, right? Argument mapping is kind of like, but totally entirely different from outlining an essay. Okay, what we're going to be doing here is learning how to visualize logical structure, and that's going to be kind of neat because you guys have no idea what logical structure is. It turns out one of the great ways to give you to teach you what logical structure is and for you to gain a really good feel for logical structure is to just dive right into mapping and get you to play around with stuff to see how it works and guide you through actual uses of argument mapping. That way you get a good idea of what mapping really is. Okay, and we're going to use Rationale Online to do it. So in a previous video I showed you how to create an account and buy your paid account. If you haven't paid for stuff yet, you should still be able to get stuff out of this video, but probably pretty quickly the kinds of things that I'm going to do on Rationale Online are going to require you to actually have a paid account on hand. So if you haven't settle that soon. Okay, so I'm going to switch over between slides and screenshots of a browser where I'm actually doing the stuff live so that you can see both things. So this is the initial logon screen. I have logged in already, so I'll skip that step. The next thing, if you press this green button right here, you'll get sent right to the mapping surface, the workspace. If I go to my profile, I see just the basic information. If I go to my maps, these are previous maps that I've made. But just like the green button on the home page, if I click the blue button here, I will be sent to a brand new blank screen ready to build new maps. Now let's do a brief tour and see what's up here. So we've got, this is the workspace right here in the middle. We've got this text panel on the side, we've got the building panel on the left, and we've got the ribbon up top. So 3 other locations. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit this little chevron, these little double arrows here, and get rid of the text panel because we don't use that. That's not going to be very useful for us at all. So we're just going to move that so that we have more space in the learning, in the workspace area here. The second thing that we're going to do every time, and this is going to be a pain, is you guys aren't just reasoners. You're advanced reasoners. So we are not using these plain ugly boxes right here. We're using this hotness. We're using these advanced reasoning boxes, so make sure that you start off using these boxes. Otherwise, you'll get into trouble. It's easily reversible trouble. It's not a big deal, but just make sure that you do that. The third thing you want to do to kind of prep before you do anything is you want to click the View tab on the ribbon and make sure that this button is activated like it is for me now. If I click it again, that's deactivated. I want it activated. What that is going to do is it's going to give automatically updated map labels to every box that we put on the map, and that's super important because when you build a big map, it gives a good way for people to point at different parts of your map nice and conveniently because every part of your map is labeled. Okay, so that was easy enough, right? Those 3 things, you could follow along with me here and get all that done. Here's where I was talking about all that different vocabulary in an earlier video. Rationale Online uses the word contention. We're more familiar with words like conclusion or thesis or the point of an argument. Every argument has one of these, and it belongs in Rationale Online on the top. So you click something and you drag it out. If you click and snatch, sometimes it doesn't work. I was lucky there. Okay. It turns out that this co-premise box is exactly the same as that, and the little black box inside the green border, that's the same thing too. But anyways, so I can bring out these boxes. We aren't going to get to objections for a while, but you can bring out objection boxes. They're the same as the green reason boxes, but they are just things that detract from your argument. So we'll learn the role for those, and don't worry about those. Those are kind of pre-made maps. You can drag that out. You can see, whoa, it's got all sorts of bells and whistles. Don't do that. It'll just confuse you to no end. So don't worry about those, and we will be using notes eventually, but not right now, so don't worry about them. Okay, so you can drag out any number of these things onto the mapping floor, right? You can see that I can grab both parts of the box here. I can grab the green part and drag around the whole thing, or I can grab the inner white box and drag, and if I drag it out, then there's nothing left for the green box to hold, so it disappears. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can take a plain green box like this, and do you see how when I'm hovered over this part, the box that I'm over lights up in blue, and there's this purple bar? That's what Rationale is telling me. That's where this thing, if I let go of my mouse button, that's where it's going to insert that thing. And so I can actually put more than one white box in a green box. We'll learn when it's a good idea to do that later. Right now we're not going to do that. Right now all we're going to do is learn the magic of attaching boxes. So these boxes are all free floating out there. I suppose we could, drag out boxes and line them up in any way we liked and stuff, but that would not be using the website to its ultimate power. What we need to do here, what we want to do, is we want to connect boxes up. And so the contention box is at the top of our argument. That's what we want to reach. So we want to put a green box below it. You snug up until you highlight the box you want, and that blue line is where you need it to be. That blue line is going to indicate that's where I'm going to insert this green box. So I let go, and boom, there it goes, and it shifted around things to kind of make room. If I take this, I can put it below this green box. I can snatch it away. I can put it directly below the white box. Don't worry about the difference between those two things right now. I can put it beside this green box. Now this might be slightly confusing because as you can see here, it's highlighting the contention box at the top and putting the purple line beside the green box. If I let go here, that's what that does. Okay? So I'm going to snatch it back. If I come up here and put it here, that's why the purple thing is a line. It's going to squeeze it in and shove those two things apart and stuff this new box in there. Okay? So there's a variety of ways to get this stuff done, right? And just move around. You can experiment with stuff. I don't know why there's two different locations there for purple. If I drop it there or if I drop it there, it'll put the box in the exact same place, right? But what this does is when we start actually typing into those boxes and putting claims in those boxes, we can freely move the boxes around, and this is our way of kind of exploring how the different claims in an argument get connected to each other so that we can learn about logical structure, okay? And that's basically your overview of the general things that we can do. Let me see, is there anything else that we really need to learn? On the Home tab here, of course, you can delete boxes. The easiest way to delete boxes is just to highlight a box and press the delete key on your keyboard. But of course, you can also highlight a box and right click or control click and either cut or delete that box like that. Other things that we can do on here that might be useful for you. Well, I can highlight any box I like, and I can change it into another one of the variety of boxes. So that was just a plain white box, a contention or a co-premise, but I can turn that into a reason box just by doing that. If I had, by some egregious mistake, instead of using the nice, sexy, advanced reasoning boxes, started pulling out these plain guys and making a really ugly looking, dull and boring map like this, then I can save it by using this convenient thing right here. Bam. turns it into my nice sexy boxes. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need. Then the last thing you need to know, after you do some work on this stuff, you go up here, that's the save icon in the video right here. If you even recognize that thing, if you know what it's supposed to represent, put it in the comments down here, because nobody here has probably ever even seen a real life version of whatever that thing is. I have, because I'm old, but you probably haven't. So click on that to save the file. It'll ask you to name the file. Press OK. It's saved. If I click back to my user profile and then go to My Maps, it should show up, the most recent things show up in the top left corner of your maps right here. Just make sure that you label things usefully. So there's my map. So then I can at any time now go back in. It takes 2 clicks. First you go to like the maps homepage and then you press open so that you actually get back into the work surface here and you can do more stuff. All right, and that's pretty much it. So let me flip back to my PowerPoint and I'm going to flick rapidly through. You should see all these things, right? So we did these 3 steps when we first signed in. We minimized, we clicked advanced reasoning so we could use those sexy boxes. We turned on map references and we minimized the text panel to give ourselves the maximum working space so you don't have to squint at really small stuff when you build a big or wide map. And then we built stuff by dragging things out and we learned how to attach things to each other. What's next? After this, there's the quiz, right? And the quiz is just there to make sure that you were listening to these lectures on stuff. But actually, I think what's next is one more video and then the quiz. I can't remember. I rearranged these things. Anyways, go on to the next thing, whether it's the quiz or the video, and keep chugging through this stuff so that you can get to the part where you actually do your own mapping of the listicle article that I've assigned you and build your first map.